I was halfway through fixing my old gate when I saw her white, Lexus creeping up the gravel road like she owned the place. The same smug face I'd seen in every HOA nightmare video online. Karen, the self-appointed queen of community standards. She rolled down her tinted window, chin tilted high, and barked, "You can't block this road. It's part of the HOA jurisdiction." I wiped my hands on a rag, staring at her like she'd grown 2 heads. "Ma'am, this is my land. This road's been private for 40 years. My family built it." She scoffed, stepping out with her clipboard like some sort of suburban sheriff. "That's cute. But the HOA board voted to include this road last month. It's now part of our shared property. I'll need you to remove that gate immediately, or face fines." I laughed. Not a nervous laugh, more like the kind that comes right before something blows up. "You voted to take my land? That's not how this works." Karen wasn't backing down. "Oh, I've already informed our attorney. You're blocking access to community members who use this road to reach the pond." Now, the pond she mentioned? It was an old cattle reservoir, fenced off, muddy, and full of frogs. No one used it, except her, apparently, for morning wellness walks. By the next day, she'd posted bright orange HOA notices on my gate and sent 2 volunteers with measuring tapes to assess property limits. One of them tried to step onto my side of the fence. That's when I realized this wasn't just a nuisance. It was a land grab. I pulled out the county map, the original deed, and a copy of the easement my grandfather signed back in the 70s. Every line, every number, every survey marker screamed one thing: this road belonged to me. So I did what any fed-up landowner would do. I installed a brand-new steel gate, 8 feet tall, double-locked, and added a private property, no trespassing, sign big enough to see from the main road. That evening, as the sun dipped low, Karen returned. Her Lexus screeched to a halt. She jumped out, fuming, snapping pictures with her phone. "You'll regret this. I'll have this gate torn down by morning." I just smiled, leaning against the post. "You can try, but I'd suggest you bring a court order and a better attitude." That was the night everything changed. By sunrise, I knew Karen wasn't bluffing. I heard the sound of tires crunching on gravel before I'd even poured my coffee. When I stepped onto the porch, I saw a caravan, 3 SUVs and a pickup, rolling down my private road like it was a parade. At the front, of course, was Karen, her sunglasses glinting like she was leading a victory march. Behind her came 2 HOA board members and a man in a cheap suit who looked more nervous than official. I could tell he wasn't a cop, but he was trying real hard to look like one. Karen stepped out first, waving her clipboard. "We're here to enforce HOA compliance and remove this unlawful gate. You were given notice." I leaned on the porch railing. "Notice? You taped a flyer to my fence. That's not how the law works." The man in the suit cleared his throat. "Sir, I'm representing the HOA as counsel. According to the newly amended bylaws," I cut him off. "Bylaws don't override property deeds. You're standing on private land. That means you're trespassing." Karen huffed, turning to the others. "Ignore him. Start removing the hinges." That's when I pulled out my phone and hit record. "Just so we're clear," I said, my voice steady. "You are knowingly trespassing on private property despite verbal warning. Continue, and I'll call the sheriff." The man in the suit froze. "Karen, maybe we should—" But Karen was already at the gate, tugging at the lock like a child throwing a tantrum. "You can't keep the community from accessing shared property. This road leads to the common pond." "Common pond?" I laughed. "Lady, that's a cow pit, and the only thing common about it is the smell." Her face turned beet red. "You think this is funny? The HOA will bankrupt you in court." I smirked. "Then I hope you brought a big wallet." Within 15 minutes, the sheriff's cruiser pulled up, because I had already called before they arrived. Deputy Miller stepped out, adjusting his hat, and gave me that look that said, "Not again." "Morning, folks," he said. "Karen, I told you last month you can't enforce HOA rules off association land. This road's privately owned. The deed's been verified." Karen tried to argue, but the deputy raised a hand. "Ma'am, you're trespassing. I suggest you leave before I start writing tickets." Her lips trembled. She pointed at me like I'd personally ruined her kingdom. "This isn't over," she hissed before storming off. I watched her taillights vanish and muttered, "That's what I'm afraid of." 2 days later, I thought the dust had settled. The new gate stood firm, the lock untouched, and my road was quiet again. But peace never lasts long when Karen's involved. That morning, I noticed a strange truck parked near the property line, white, with magnetic decals reading HOA Property Survey Division. Out stepped 2 men in reflective vests, holding tripods and laser tools like they were about to build a highway. I walked over calmly. "Morning, gentlemen. Can I help you?" One of them barely looked up. "Just conducting a land survey for the HOA. Routine boundary verification." I grinned. "Funny. County land surveys require permits." "You got one?" They exchanged glances. Our supervisor has the documentation." "Uh-huh," I said, crossing my arms. "And your supervisor's name?" Before they could stammer out another excuse, Karen's Lexus rolled up again. She stepped out, grinning like she'd already won. "Oh, don't mind them. They're working for us. We're redrawing the property lines to include the access road. Once that's filed, your gate will be removed by court order." My jaw tightened. "You can't just redraw property lines, Karen. That's called fraud." She smirked. "We'll see what the county thinks." What she didn't know was that my cousin, Mark, worked at the county assessor's office. I excused myself, went inside, and made one quick phone call. 10 minutes later, Mark confirmed what I suspected. No survey permits had been filed, and the men she hired weren't licensed land surveyors at all. They were contractors from a local fencing company. I walked back out, phone in hand, recording again. "Gentlemen," I said loudly, "the county's confirmed you're operating without a permit. That means you're trespassing, too." The men froze. One of them muttered, "Karen, we're not getting paid enough for this," before packing up their gear. Karen's smile vanished. "You'll regret interfering with an authorized survey." "Authorized by who?" I shot back. "Your imagination?" Before she could answer, a county deputy truck pulled up. Again, thanks to Mark tipping them off, the deputy stepped out and asked for paperwork. Karen handed him a stack of printed HOA bylaws. He flipped through them, raised an eyebrow, and said flatly, "Ma'am, these aren't legal documents. You can't change private boundaries with HOA votes." Karen's expression cracked. "But I'm the president," she blurted out. He sighed. "That's not a government title, ma'am." By the time they left, Karen was fuming, her car kicking up gravel as she sped off. I thought she'd give up after that, but I underestimated just how far she'd go next. It was almost peaceful again. For a week, the road stayed quiet. No HOA goons, no fake surveyors, no Karen. I even started to believe she'd finally realized she was beaten. But people like her don't quit. They escalate. I found that out the hard way one Saturday morning when I heard metal grinding outside. The sound came from the gate. I ran out to see Karen herself, bolt cutters in hand, trying to snap through the chain. Her Lexus was parked crooked across the ditch, music blaring like she was celebrating already. "Karen!" I shouted. "Drop those cutters!" She spun around, startled but defiant. "I warned you. The community has a right to this road, and I'm taking it back." I couldn't believe it. "You're breaking into private property in broad daylight." "Have you lost your mind?" She sneered. "You can't own a road, you hick! This is public now." Before I could respond, I pulled my phone and started recording again. "You're destroying private property, Karen. This is felony vandalism." "I'd stop if I were you." But she didn't stop. She clamped down again, sparks flying as the steel resisted her. I walked over slowly, keeping the camera steady. Just then, the chain snapped loose, and the heavy gate swung forward, slamming into her car door with a thunderous clang. Her mouth dropped open. "You assaulted me!" she screamed. I just sighed. "You assaulted my gate." 5 minutes later, sirens wailed in the distance. Turns out, one of the neighbors had already called 911 after hearing the commotion. Deputy Miller showed up again, same calm face, same notepad. He looked from Karen to the damaged gate, then back at me. Let me guess, she claims it's HOA property? Bingo, I said. Karen was pacing, waving her arms. He attacked me. He locked public access and tried to hit me with the gate. The deputy calmly replayed my phone video, every second of her cutting the chain. When it ended, he snapped his notebook shut. Ma'am, you're under arrest for trespassing and property damage. Karen froze. You can't arrest me. I'm the HOA president. Miller sighed. You're not above the law, ma'am. As she was led to the cruiser, she glared at me. You'll regret this. I smiled faintly. You've been saying that for weeks. Later that month, a county judge dismissed the HOA's bogus claims entirely and issued a restraining order against Karen. The road stayed mine, the gate stayed locked, and the sign out front got one small addition, an engraved plaque that read, Private Road, HOA Presidents Not Welcome. If you enjoyed seeing how this one ended, hit that like button, drop your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for more unbelievable HOA stories just like this one.